Imagine a game where every step unravels an interplanetary mystery where worlds within worlds await exploration. That's right, I'm finally covering the indie debut game of the year, Cocoon. My name is Ban Shredded Cheese, and I'm a streamer on Twitch and a YouTuber who focuses on all things indie games. Today, we're diving headfirst into the mind-bending universe of Cocoon, the latest indie masterpiece from the creator behind Limbo and INSIDE. I sat down and played this entire game from start to finish this week to tell you everything you need to know, so let's jump right in. Cocoon is a top-down 3D puzzle platformer that follows in the footsteps of games from Jeppe Carlsen. The adventure begins with no text, no dialogue, and no tutorial. Cocoon uses simple yet mind-bending mechanics to create not just one but multiple worlds where you will solve puzzles to advance the gameplay. To traverse these many worlds, you will be able to place orbs or moons onto a device that will allow you to jump into them. The game starts with you in one of these moons and progresses to have a total of 4 different moons, each with its own puzzles and mechanics for you to master. Each moon will require you to explore and solve the many puzzles within it. Once you reach the end of the puzzles, there will be a boss you must defeat to unlock the abilities of the planet and be able to take the moon on your next adventure. These boss fights are the only time I truly felt challenged with the mechanics of the game past mild confusion on some of the puzzles. The boss fights begin fairly easy in difficulty, but as the game progresses, they get progressively harder, until the final 3-stage fight that really only requires you to spam your ability and eventually beat from sheer luck. The charm of this game is not in the boss fights, but in your ability to think through multiple worlds at once to solve the puzzles. Having to know the various abilities of moons and where you left them created a challenge I was not expecting on my playthrough. Throughout Cocoon, there are grand landscapes, intricate details, and forgotten structures that combine to create not one but many different worlds, each with its own presence. The game's multiple complex worlds that all intermingle together stand as a testament to the developer's commitment to creating the most immersive and complete experience. These worlds you will navigate through and around feel grand. I got the impression that the areas I was exploring were only small pieces of the full moon. Each world has unique landscapes and designs that prevent boredom in your playthrough. Unlike previous games by Carlsen, there are bright, vibrant colors and atmospheric lighting, leaving only the mystery of the puzzles behind. Whether it's the remnants of an ancient civilization or the pulsing energy from a celestial being, the environments are rich with narrative potential. Unfortunately, for me at least, I was unable to uncover much, if any, of the story of the game. I played through Cocoon and have watched others play and talk about the game, and it seems no one is quite sure what the takeaway is supposed to be. I have seen some people draw metaphors to eyes and others trying to piece together the downfall of a great society. These fan theories all seem to be grasping at minute details, trying to extrapolate a reason or deeper meaning to the game. What wasn't lacking in Cocoon, however, was the soundtrack to the game. The score and audio cues help guide the player without being forceful. The music will change slightly through the different worlds and will increase or decrease in volumes as you move through puzzles to give a hotter, colder style hint to where you should be and how to navigate the worlds. The lack of clear storyline for Cocoon does not take away from the engagement of the game. The player is roped into the gameplay trying to solve the next puzzle, master a new mechanic, or beat the next boss fight constantly. Having to backtrack through worlds to solve new puzzles is a must in this game. You will get locked out of areas you no longer need, so you don't have to try memorizing the entire map of the various worlds. You will, however, need to be mindful of different areas and how they all connect to keep track of where the moons are left. I found myself wide-eyed staring at my monitor trying to remember where I left that one moon and if I'll be able to get back to it, let alone even find it a few times. One thing I noticed is that unlike my most recent game reviewed, Cocoon seems to only have one correct solution to each puzzle. This is not inherently a bad thing, as there's still critical thinking element as you piece together the different worlds into a single playfield where the solution could require multiple jumps to solve. These puzzles start fairly simple, but as new mechanics are unlocked, the difficulty ramps up till multiple moons are required to solve a single puzzle. This not only keeps the experience fresh, but also ensures that the gameplay stays unpredictable as the game progresses. The puzzle solving is broken up by the boss fights that take away your moons and force you to master a new mechanic on the fly to be able to defeat the bosses and move on. These boss fights often give you a quick demo of the mechanic being used and then let you jump in, fighting your way through them. Each boss fight, except for the final one, took me about 10 to 15 minutes to learn and master the mechanics and defeat the boss. The break from the puzzles and removing the crutch that is the moons added a fresh feeling to each boss fight and kept me on my toes. Cocoon did an excellent job telling a story that doesn't exist. I want to believe I just missed something that would open up my eyes to the tale being told. Unfortunately, even days later, I have yet to manage to connect any dots to the small bits and pieces of the game that I feel like were meant to tell a story. As I mentioned earlier, I've seen other creators and journalists attempt to connect the dots and pull a deeper meaning from the game, but honestly, I don't think there needs to be. Cocoon is still an awe-inspiring story that hooks players in without the story being obvious. if it's even there. I'm the type of player to explore and want to put together a story and go on an emotional journey. Just because this game does not feed my hunger for a deeper meaning and powerful story does not mean that it's a bad game. I thoroughly enjoyed the puzzles and fighting of bosses and often forgot to even look for elements of the story to build up the lore of the world I was actively in. If I'm being an idiot and missed the story, you can feel free to tell me in the comments, but as it presently stands, I fully believe that this is a game and worlds that do not combine to tell a story. I was still able to take away a fun experience and complex puzzle-ridden world that left me with no regrets about playing the game. From learning the game mechanics on the fly to solving puzzles that took multiple world jumps, Cocoon was a complete game from start to finish. The atmospheric world and soundtrack built up not only one but multiple environments, each with their own complexities and mechanics. Challenges built up in a way that meant you never truly knew what was coming next. Cocoon earns a must-play rating for the gameplay alone. The beautiful worlds, the soundtrack, the dynamic puzzles, and the boss fights combine to create an engaging experience that stands on its own without the need for a complex or deep story that other games often have to fall back on. That is everything you need to know about Cocoon. You may have noticed that one game on the tier list I do not have a review out for yet, so make sure you're subscribed to know when that video comes out. If you want to check out the indie games I have already released reviews for, you can check out this playlist, and I will see you all next time.